Moonfall is the newest disaster movie, but it's more like a disaster of a movie. Hey there guys, so I saw Moonfall a few weeks ago and it's taken me 2 weeks to gather my thoughts on this film because it really ruined my life. Moonfall is the newest disaster flick from director Roland Emmerich and it's his worst film since his last film. And the biggest disaster surrounding this film isn't the plot of the film where the moon wants to implode with the Earth, it's the box office returns. This film only made $10 million in its opening weekend. It cost $150 million to make.
If you're watching this, then you know by now a huge problem is heading our way. An emergency meeting is being called at our usual place immediately. Free bagels.
Alright, before I give you my 5 reasons why I really did not like this movie and it failed as a disaster film and a movie itself and it's everything wrong with Hollywood nowadays, I first want to say this. I'm a fan of Roland Emmerich. I think he's made some really great films. I sort of like The Patriot. Don't judge me. And I love Independence Day. This was the perfect concoction of over-the-top popcorn action disaster fun with Jeff Goldblum and Will Smith having such charismatic roles in a film that really carried it and elevated it, and I still love it to this day. This is how you do a disaster film. This is what Roland Emmerich does best. But ever since then, everything he's done has progressively gotten worse and worse and worse. And super quick, before I dive into this disaster of a film, I first want to give a quick mention to the sponsor of this video because it's the opposite of a disaster. It's actually a delicious blessing. Big thanks to HelloFresh for sponsoring this video. No matter what's going on in the world, everyone's gotta eat. That's why HelloFresh is here to make eating better and easier. As a dude who has no idea what he's doing in the kitchen, HelloFresh makes cooking a tasty, magical, and mystical meal easy. There's no need for grocery stores or stressful meal planning. Everything you need is delivered to your door. I recently used HelloFresh to make the best meal I've ever cooked in my entire life, and as good as that looks, it tastes even better. HelloFresh offers a wide variety of quick and easy recipes, including 20-minute meals, easy cleanup, and low prep options. HelloFresh's pre-portioned ingredients means there's less prep for you and less wasted food. You can also increase your HelloFresh box servings so you can easily have leftovers for lunches, which is what I do. So if you want tasty fresh food with less prep time and less trips to the grocery store, use my link or go to HelloFresh.com and use code POGFlickPick16. For up to 16 free meals plus 3 surprise gifts across 6 HelloFresh boxes plus free shipping. Gifts include free appetizers, free desserts, and free premium recipes. Check it out, the link's down below. Now let's get back to the video. Okay, spoilers by the way, but who really cares because this is just an over-the-top bloated disaster film crapped out from Hollywood that costs way too much money and no one's gonna talk about it in 2 weeks. Well, other than me, I'll talk about it because I'm doing it now because I have no life. But with all that said, here's 5 reasons I didn't like Moonfall. The plot. Get ready for me to kill your brain. The moon is getting closer and closer to Earth and impending doom is approaching. But wait! The moon is actually a hollow structure designed by our distant alien ancestors billions of years ago before they became too advanced and AI took over in the form of robotic nanomites. Yeah, they're sort of like a swarm of killer robot Terminator bees. And now these nanomites are causing the moon to crash into Earth. Once they went to the moon, it almost felt like the moon had its own version of Alexa, where it just guided the characters to figure out everything. Hey moon, how do I save Earth?
What you do is take an old spaceship from a museum and fly it inside of me. I will tell you how to do the rest.
And trust me, there's more I could say about the moon being a structure in this film built by our distant ancestor alien cousins, which by the way, I think my Uncle Gary is actually an alien, but nevertheless, let's just keep going with the plot. Then at the end of the mission, the character played by John Bradley must sacrifice himself to stay behind and push a button to make things blow up on the moon. But don't get too sad because he does save the day and the moon is one big computer. So then what happens is his consciousness is uploaded to the moon's database forever. Everything I just said sounds like it came from the imagination of a 14-year-old boy who took hallucinogenics for the first time behind the movie theater dumpster. And I used to be that boy. But then Hollywood greenlit that idea and gave it $150 million. Yeah, Roland Emmerich simply took every single plot point he's ever utilized in previous films he's directed and put it into this film. And it's just a culmination of just bad. And when it comes to borrowing tropes from previous films, well, this movie borrows quite a bit, but just to simplify everything, I'm only going to compare this to Independence Day to make life easier. In this film, you also have the whack job who sacrifices himself at the end of the movie to save humanity. At the end of the film, everyone teams up to fly into the alien craft to combat it. And there's 428 other things I could say, but I'll just say this. landmarks. Yeah, because unless we see landmarks being blown up or destroyed, it's not really a disaster film. The finale of this film takes place in Colorado, and at the very end of the film, because the moon caused so much chaos and gravitational blah blah blah, the Chrysler building is blown from New York to Colorado. And this is what it looks like when it lands. Maybe I'm nitpicking, but I found this hilarious. For example, I could not throw this coffee mug 10 feet without it shattering, but somehow the Chrysler building blew 2,000 miles across the country and it landed pretty much intact. Number 2. The cast. Like I previously mentioned, you've already seen this exact movie 10 other times over the last 25 years from Hollywood. Except with the majority of those previous films, they had something called charisma. And my theory is, and I could be wrong, but don't correct me if I am, my theory is Patrick Wilson and Halle Berry sign a multi-deal picture contract, and typically per that agreement, the actors have to star in a certain amount of films released by the studio, no matter what the movies are. So sometimes in Hollywood, actors have to do obligatory roles because, well, it's just part of the deal. It's not like they read the script and said, oh, I have to be in Moonfall. No, it was just part of their overall multi-picture deal. Or at least that's my theory. That's what I would assume happened. So back to that charisma thing. Sometimes charisma makes you forget how bad of a movie you're watching because you're slightly entertained. In this film, everyone just felt so dull and tired, and even the backstories and the characters that they put in this film were just miserable to watch. So my point is, sometimes when you interject a lackluster script with charismatic actors who can help carry that movie, it helps, or at least camouflages how terrible the screenplay really is. Number 3, nothing makes sense. There's a million things in this film that make no sense, but I can forgive a lot of those things because they're masked by big bloated CG elements, and I'm just like, okay, I can at least look at it and be entertained, sort of. I'm simply going to focus on one small detail in this film that just bothered me, and it's the little things that I feel like they should get right because they're so simple, but for some odd reason, they can't do it. There's a sequence in this movie where Patrick Wilson's character confronts John Bradley's character, who's this conspiracy theorist who has detailed knowledge on the moon actually being a structure, not an actual moon. And what happens is they're in this hotel room together. A big tsunami caused by the moon's gravitational pull floods this entire city. And then they're on the 3rd or 4th story of the hotel. And what they do during this chaotic situation is they say, you know what? Let's just go to bed. And then they both just fall asleep in the hotel room. I don't know about you, but if there was a global disaster where the moon was going to implode with Earth, my family was out there, and I was with one of the only guys on the planet who had knowledge on how to fix this issue, I don't think I would just snuggle up in my bed and go to sleep. Number 4. CGI action. Sometimes less is more, except when it comes to a Roland Emmerich or a Michael Bay movie. But I remember A Simple Time in Life, and once again I will reference 1996's Independence Day. I remember in that film they actually built small miniature practical effects and blew them up. And it looked great. When I was watching this film, it just felt like a big blurry digital PS2 video game graphic and digital vomit being spewed into my face and into my eyeballs. 60% of this film just feels like digital noise, where if they could put it on the screen, they put it there. And also, I have to say this, there's one really big obligatory chase scene that goes down at the climax of this film, and it's just like, why is this happening? It's where a group of hillbillies in a pickup truck are chasing the good guys, and one of the lines the hillbilly says is, "You must be a college boy, huh?" What is this, Deliverance? Number 5, the disaster genre. Is it dead? When it comes to the disaster genre of films, I don't want them to die. I don't want them to stop. I just want them to get better. When it comes to a film like Moonfall, it doesn't feel like they're trying anymore. It just feels like they're resting on their laurels from the past 25 years and just doing the same things they've already done over and over again. But every time they do them, they progressively get worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. And if you're a Hollywood executive watching my video right now, because I know all of them do, please let me know how this film was greenlit. How did this get pushed out with a $150 million budget, especially going back to some previous Roland Emmerich films where they didn't perform that well at the box office and they weren't critically well received? And films like Geostorm, for example, which was not a Roland Emmerich film, even though it felt like a Kmart version of one, no one liked that movie. It didn't do very well. So how do they keep getting made? I don't understand it. And once again, I don't want the disaster film genre to die, I just want it to get better. Make more films like Deep Impact. That was a smart man's disaster film. It had heart, it had emotion, and most importantly, it had Morgan Freeman playing the president. Those are my 5 reasons Moonfall is a disaster of a movie. Now here's my question for you, and let me know down below. If you've seen the movie Moonfall, and I hope you haven't, let me know what you thought about it, or what is your favorite disaster movie of all time? If I had to pick one, like I said, Independence Day? As always, guys, thanks for watching. I'm going to grab another coffee now. Leave your thoughts, your opinions down below, and I'll see you next time.